We are live. It's another beautiful Sunday evening. Thank God for 6 months of the year. We can't be more grateful. It's been a purposeful year. And when I mean purpose, I'm not saying purposeful, just purposeful, but purpose, full of purpose, I would say. Because there's so much we have learned, we have grown, we have accomplished in this last 6 months. And I hope that's your story as well. So, good evening to you, wherever you're watching from. If it's in the morning, good morning to you. And for those who are going to catch it on the replay, hello. So thank you so much for joining us. This is yet another book review shining in your spotlight, and yours truly is the author. So we're going to be reading today, chapter 14. And I have with me, once again, my amiable sister, Sonia.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm sharing as usual. So,
Yeah. I always give you time to share, don't worry.
oh my God.
So it's
Okay.
another interesting topic today, and this is the growth zone. I think this topic has come very timely because we're just stepping into July, which is the second half of the year. So for anybody who feels like they're not there yet, those still living within their comfort zone or just still doing the normal things that they usually do and haven't seen a difference in the results, this topic is for you. I mean, this whole book is for you anyways. But specifically this topic is so interesting and I think it should spark something within you. So let's just go with the flow now. So this topic today is the growth zone. We're basically talking about stretching beyond limits, like stretching yourself beyond your normal way of doing things. And this quote blows my mind. The moment I opened it today, I'm like, oh my goodness, this thing speaks so much. It says, if you're not willing to risk the usual, you will have to settle for the ordinary. Sonia, what do you have to say?
Just like it blew your mind, I'm still thinking and ruminating about it. And
Yeah.
it's so true because at the end of the day, what we talked about dreams and visions and goals, right?
Hmm.
Being found mostly in the burial ground because all hopes were there.
Yeah.
I wrote something this past week. I said, having spent time, you see people online and you're wishing, oh, can I
Hmm.
live like a little bit of how this people's life is? But these are the people who took practical step to risk it all.
Yeah.
And the thing about risk, a lot of people don't know, is as little as stepping out of your house, is even as little as getting down from your bed. Okay?
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, every day we face risk is now how you look at it. Some
Hmm.
we're already comfortable doing, the others we find it difficult to do. Okay.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the fact that if you're not willing to do the risk to follow suit, to go through and lure yourself through that dreams. And I
Hmm.
keep saying most of the time, our dreams keep calling and hammering our head. It's
Yeah.
us that kind of wish ourselves away
Hold back.
from it. We
Yes.
give it a deaf ear. Okay.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
always use this word, if you can't stop thinking about it, there is something there for you.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
high time you stop, stopping yourself from shining in
Wow.
your spotlight.
Stop
It's high
suffering.
time you stop reducing the potential, or I call it, you stop telling God to not to hold me accountable.
Oh my goodness.
you know, and
Yeah.
just let me be me. Just leave me to be me because every day He will nudge us towards the path of greatness, but it takes our willingness to get through it. It's like faith. Faith is risk.
Yeah.
Honestly, believing in something you can't see
It
is a
is
risk.
risk. It is.
So what are you saying? And then most of the times we tend to shift this thing away from our reality. You're a mother or you're an aspiring mother, being pregnant is a risk. Even going through the pregnancy is a risk because everything around you, everything around you is screaming for help.
Yeah.
Going through that delivery room is a
It
risk.
is.
Your life
Yep.
is at stake.
Yep.
Even giving birth to the child and being responsible for that child is also a risk
Mm.
because it comes with no manual.
Yeah.
So why is it that something as little as your own growth
Mm-hmm.
becomes pretty difficult for you to go through?
Yeah.
And that is where I'm going to stop. Now, the
Um,
beautiful part, like I said, is if you're not willing to risk the usual meaning what you're already used to,
yes.
you
Your
have to
normal
settle
way
for
of
the
doing
normal.
things. Yeah. You have to settle for the ordinary. And that ordinary, the price you have to pay for ordinary may not come now. It
Yeah.
may keep aggravating You know what I mean? Aggravating means getting worse, like in the future. That's why we need to rise up. I think it's called, I will call it rise up from everything that you've known before and just grow, choose to grow. Like it's a decision you have to make to grow yourself, to come out of the ordinary and step into that thing, that destiny that God has for you. For no wonder the Bible says it, that it's impossible to please God without faith. Because you
Mhm.
cannot do this thing we're talking about without faith. You cannot grow without faith. Like you cannot see the other side of the fence. You cannot see 10 steps ahead, but you're taking one step and just hoping that the way opens. And that's the miracle of this, the fact that you have to grow through it. Yeah. Okay, so let me just go through what we have here in the first paragraph. It says, all you know isn't all there is. Therefore, dare to always explore beyond the familiar. If you think you've arrived, even those that are wealthy, those that are more spiritual, like in any capacity, they haven't arrived yet. Like knowledge is unlimited, I would say. Everything in life is doesn't there's no boundary. We are the only ones who place boundaries on our own self and on what we know and on what we have learned. But here, this is telling you today, all we know isn't all there is.
It's
So
like
embrace
saying,
the unknown. Yeah.
if I stop learning, I start dying.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Because for me, right, there's absolutely nothing like staying in the same spot.
Yeah.
For me, I think I'm sure we'll find it somewhere here. There's nothing like you're stagnated like in the same spot. You're either going forward or you're going backward, right? Because even when it comes to technology, anything, let's use technology for an example. If this is what you know, you thought you were up there, right? In the next, let's say 2 years, even 1 year, 6 months, right? More things have come. So you are not in that spot. You're actually decreasing because there's more things that are fast ahead, right? And that's why we need to continue to grow. So embrace the unknown, for it is in exploring these new realms that you continually uncover the fullness of your potential. So every work you do always has an element of risk, as she has said, right? So
Mhm.
let's start to ask the right questions when it comes to the things that we need to do. Let's not focus on the negatives. For example, what if it doesn't work, right? You know, we're very used to that kind of statement.
What
What if
if?
it does actually, right? That should be what you should be asking your own self. Or even better, what can I do to make it work? In shifting the perspective of how you view things, how you question yourself, you're definitely thinking bigger about a solution versus creating a problem. See what Mark Zuckerberg said here. He said the biggest risk is not taking any risk at all. And I'll just stop
Yeah.
there. I mean, that one for me is like I've had it. How can he say no? Yeah, like not taking a risk is even is the greatest risk of all time. My goodness.
In the line of because of life, most times I hear people always say, and especially if you're a healthcare worker, you always hear most times in the palliative wards where people are like, "Oh, I wish I did X, Y, and Z at this certain age of my life. I
Mhm.
wish I have done X, Y, and Z." And
Yeah,
honestly, it changes the course of the way you think about life.
yeah.
That's why most times when you step out from the hospital, there is this change of narrative you will have
Mm,
because you're seeing people who once had the opportunity, didn't take it. Right
yeah.
now, they can't do anything. There are no options. Okay.
Mm,
They are
mhm,
either retired, they are bedbound, or something. So,
mm,
this goes to tell you that everything in life requires us to step out and
yeah,
shine in our spotlight. A lot
yeah.
of times, excuses we give ourselves are also risk to ourselves.
Exactly. Yes.
And that is why I like this about the risk you are afraid to take being the biggest, which means that thing you want to do for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
what does it require? And I always tell people the people you admire are those people who did those things that you tell yourself you cannot do. They're
Exactly.
those people who decide to take up to themselves and change the narrative. The
Exactly.
the apps that we use here, or even the platform they're using here, it took somebody to say, I think I can do this. For
Hmm.
everybody connected to one place. It took the
Right.
thing, the idea, all
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
didn't just end in the idea. Even when the idea was shared, if you know the story of the Facebook, even when
Mhm.
it was shared, a lot of people called it myopic, a lot of people called it that it's not going to go far.
Exactly.
But because he's the carrier of the idea, he decided to execute
Hmm.
despite all the saying and the risk involved. Risks of
Exactly.
the way we always say, oh, is it going to work or not work? He
Yeah.
knew this would work. And how does it work? By going forward to it, failing in it, learning from it, making mistakes, and making it work.
Work.
There
Exactly.
is nothing we are standing strong on or standing firm in that did
Mm-hmm.
not go the process of making.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of times we don't want to go through this process. We want to just stand up and become. You don't want to go through the becoming process.
Mm.
Every product that we use, even the clothes we wore or we are wearing right now,
And
or
become. You don't want to go through the becoming process. Every
okay, he went through the process of from the cotton they harvest to them knitting the clothes to them
yeah,
doing the coloring and tying and dyeing and building and before it even appeared to look stylish and we wear. So
yeah,
why will we always want to jump the horses and expect results without work? Expect to go there without asking ourselves, what if I fly?
yeah.
Not on the negative all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What if this could change the
What is
trajectory of
work?
generations?
Yeah,
Imagine on the Facebook right now, how many years our children are using it, and it's going to go stay here to them, and all that, and it's continual.
yeah,
Why won't you bring your idea to light and stop being afraid to risk it all? Go all in your dreams. And that is
mm,
why this book is something that will spark that light in your life, will reignite the visions you have for yourself. You know, those dreams that every one of us have dreams and goals and purpose that why we are here. You are not
mm,
just here to pay bill, give birth to children, and you die.
yeah.
Like, no, that is not the will of God for your life. You are
Absolutely
here
not.
for a purpose, and their life tied to your path.
Yeah.
What are you giving excuse to? I always tell people, like, how will you go to God and you say, you know what? I was afraid I will fail. It's like what we talked about last week, when the parable of the coin, 1, 5, and all that, the one
Yeah.
that went to bury their own. Okay, that's what you're gonna tell God. Because I'm afraid I buried the purpose on which you've brought me to the earth.
Mm,
Maybe you wasted your time in creating me, and because of the failure and the risk and all that, I didn't go forward to it. So it's time to shine in your spotlight. All right, get at those fear and willingly take the risk.
honestly, yeah. I mean, you've just nailed it, right? Because what comes to mind is the fact that we all grew up with dreams. Like every child grew up with a dream to become something. I mean, even a child will have 5 things they want to be. So what happened to all those dreams? I mean, how did it get lost along the way? That's a very powerful, reflection at this point in time,
Yeah.
because there's so many people I know, that I'm sure you too, and even you watching, right, that along the way they've lost the dream, the zeal, maybe because of how life has beaten up on them, right? But it's time to pick up. Like, it's never too late to pick up your dream and run with it. And it starts with the mind. That's why this book is here. This book
Mhm.
is basically a mindset shift book from the beginning to the end. It still goes back to referring to the different aspects of how you can customize, if that's the word to use right now. You like channel your energy to make how will I say, your mindset to be in line with the purpose that God has for you. Now,
Mhm.
see what it says here, right? When I talked about the fact that the Joyce brother said success is a state of mind. So if you want to be successful, start to think of yourself as a success first.
Mhm.
It actually is, I like to say this as you win from within first,
Yeah.
or you win in
Yeah.
the world, right? So it all starts from within you. So your choice to grow yourself must start from within you.
And I love in context of what you talked about here, the boundary being what confines our potentials, and most times it's us that by ourselves kind of talk ourselves out of it.
Yeah.
And then the wealth and the success being evident of talent, skills, and intelligence, they do not solely determine prosperity.
Yeah.
And most of the time, that is where we allude to. And sometimes when people cannot define or when they cannot explain the
Mm-hmm.
way the wealth comes, they
Yeah.
tend to tag it to the negative. They
Exactly.
forget that the person might be sleeping, not even sleeping when you're sleeping, you know,
Mm,
grinding and making those things come to light. People
yes.
always say the result, they don't say the process of, achieving the
The
result.
growth. Yes.
You know, and most times it's easy to judge based on appearance.
Hmm.
And that is why most of us, we are saying, you can live that life and not being so about it. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And now the fact that every one of us have a level playing ground in this online, you don't need to even know the skills. Just
Yeah.
give yourself the ability and willingness to learn. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And maybe, just maybe,
Definitely.
this is where the calling is for you. This
Yes.
is where the lies on which God has placed in your path is for you.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not a time for you to keep wishing, oh, I am not this person. I am not that person. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need to be. When God brought you here, He brought you to be uniquely you. You don't
Exactly.
need to be this person and that person. Or
Yeah.
you tell yourself, oh, I'm not a social media, but then you have an account on social media. Like,
Mm-hmm.
who are you and why is your account here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
high time you stop being a spectator and sparkle your shine. Shine in your spotlight. No
Yeah.
longer you sitting on the fence and watching other people progress or walk in
Yeah.
the line you want to walk in.
Yeah.
No wonder sitting down there admiring X, Y, and Z. Meanwhile, we want to admire you as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you want to rise up and shine as a star that God has brought you here for.
Has made you. Oh, yeah. In fact, like when are you gonna shine? Honestly,
Yeah,
when are you gonna rise up to fulfill that purpose, that calling that God has for you? Because life, I mean, I think God has made it like that. Amidst the business of like you have to find yourself. So it's your responsibility to find yourself. And finding yourself is never it doesn't come easy. Even
yeah,
the seed that sprouts from the ground it doesn't burst out of that ground with ease. I'm very sure about that. Because the ground is very hard.
mm-hmm.
Right? So the same way that finding yourself can never be a it's not a one size fits all, by the way. And it's
Yeah,
not something that will just come like from heaven or downloaded to you. No, it's a process of you learning and growing. And it comes at a cost. It comes at the
yeah,
cost of discipline. It comes at the cost of so many things. And that's what this growth that we're talking to you about is today. So success here, I say, is not solely about inherent abilities, but about courage to undertake your challenges and accept the risk as part of the journey. Of course, it has to do with finding yourself, will have to do you do it, you doing something new. And as Sonia said, right, the scripture that backs up what she said is the race is not to the swift. It's not the swiftest people that gets the best things in life. So if you think, oh, you're smart, no, it's not even to the smartest of people. But it's
yeah,
those that are willing to take up the chances or the opportunities that are available to them. So it's more like we as Christians, we should be asking ourselves, Father, help me to see those opportunities so that I can leverage on those things to make success for myself, right?
yeah. And I love what you said. You talked about the winner in the race is often the one who is not often the one who is most prepared and season fleeing upon that line with their readiness. So in essence, the journey to success is a dynamic interplay of choice and decisions,
Yeah,
choosing to confront the risk, preparing diligently and seizing opportunities when they arise. Networking becomes a bridge that connects preparation
yeah,
with opportunities, and the value you offer to the world is a
hmm,
testament to the value you have cultivated within yourself.
yeah,
That just said, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And like I always tell people, we ourselves need each other. You know, when people will ask me, oh, do you need anybody? I said, even if I'm running a traditional store, I need humans to come buy from my store.
sure,
We
yeah,
we need to network with each other to be able to thrive
yeah,
and learn. You
yeah,
can't learn just being a major on yourself by yourself. No matter how much book you read, okay, it
hmm,
boils down to how are you able to share your knowledge to others?
yeah,
How are you able to share the value of what's the insight? It's like scripture when you do your meditations, you
yeah,
know, you have to even talk to yourself about those meditations. You
yeah,
have to share what you've learned to yourself, okay?
yes,
And that is
yeah,
how you digest and you practicalize what you have read and
hmm,
what you spend time with God. And most times when meditating, we hear instructions from God. It's for the doing, not for you to keep in your head.
yeah,
Okay. And even why we are doing it is for doing to mankind.
yeah,
Humans need to consume the knowledge that you have. It's
hmm,
not. tones. And that's why that's why most time when people come and ask me, in my line of business and ask me, do I need people? And I ask them, who on earth don't need
Doesn't
people?
need people. Come on.
Like, if you don't need humans like you and I, how do you want to progress in this life? You want
Mm-hmm.
love? You need somebody
Yeah,
to love you in return. Okay, if
exactly.
you're not loving somebody, you're loving an animal, but there's something to love. Like, there is an exchange of
Yeah.
feelings, emotions, relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes us human thrive.
Yeah.
So, this is what we're trying to tell you right now. If you see the faces and of those you admire, take the risk to ask questions. Okay,
Yes. Yep.
most times the result you want is in the hand of man. I
Yes.
always say God will do what God will do, but he
Mm-hmm.
will put man to do what he has put man here to do. And
Do
most
exactly.
times he interfaces with man. Even the miracle we seek is in the hands of men. Okay?
Exactly.
It's exchange of power. It's
Yep.
you communicating and having that life, but you have to take the step.
Yeah.
You have to say, I won't settle for the ordinary.
Yeah.
It's time for me to reach for the star. And
It
that
is.
is what the book is about today. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the beautiful part of it is, like I always tell her, the insight in this book is something that even if we talk from now till in the next 2 hours, we can't sharing the value of what is in here.
I know. Like I always say that every time we come here, I learn from my own book. I mean, it blows my mind
Exactly.
because I
Exactly.
too am on a journey of growth, right? Like I'm launching a program this week, and I'm learning that from this chapter that I have to be strong to be able to make it a success.
Yeah.
You cannot understand that. Like even me, I'm learning from this.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
So every day we come here is for you to pick up. But
Yeah.
then, if you want to take your time to digest, to get deep into this, you
Hmm.
want to grab the book, all right?
Yeah.
Whether audio copy or you want to have a hard copy. And
Hmm.
feel free to just let us know anyone you're reading and you get hooked. We talk about it and we discuss the chapters, and the beautiful part, we have call to actions, all right? And
Hmm.
just practical steps for you to really align yourself to what and who you want to be.
Yeah.
Practical steps for you to actually sit down on that light, sit down on that, I call it like a beam light,
Hmm.
ready to just tell the world, I am here,
Yeah.
because the world awaits you. And
Yeah.
I await you. Honestly, like, I celebrate your light already.
Yeah.
So
Honestly,
I think this page, we're going to stop this page because we have two more pages to
yeah,
go.
okay, that's fine. But even before we go, right, there's this scripture I love so much that talks about arise and shine. And I think I'll just close it with this. Sonia, I don't know if you've ever seen it in this light. Arise and shine, for your light has come, and the
Mm,
glory of the Lord is risen upon you. Then it said, darkness shall cover the earth, right? Deep darkness. But the next thing that comes after them is that nations will come to your light and kings to the brightness of your
brightness
rising.
of the
But
rising.
how will they come if you have not arisen? It blew
Mm-hmm,
my mind the first day I learned it this way. Like
mm-hmm.
you have to rise up, step out of your comfort zone
For the
before
kings.
the world recognizes you,
Yep.
before the nations will come to you,
Mm-hmm.
before you begin to beam that light. If not, you will live the ordinary life just the same way that we saw it in this
Yeah.
opening, which says that if you're not willing to risk the unusual, you will settle for the ordinary. So let this be the wisdom you work with for this second half of the year, to arise and to shine, because lives are connected to you. Your destiny is waiting on you, and
Mm-hmm.
God is counting on you to make this work, not just for you, but for others that are connected to you, because you are a piece of the puzzle. Please don't be missing, so that others can be connected in this beautiful world we have. Thank you so much, Sonia. In fact, I think I'm ready. I'm ready for the week. I'm ready for the week, honestly. Yes. So thank you so much for listening. For those who are going to catch it on a replay, thank you so much. Yeah, this book is still available, always available for you to purchase on Amazon and on Audible. And I think it's on iBooks as well, right? On Apple Store. So you can always get it. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave us your questions or slide into the DMs. You can reach us on our DMs, and we'll be sure to provide you more information, more, just answer your questions and guide you if that's what you require. So until we come your way again next week, which is going to be the second half of the year, stay blessed and have a productive week. God bless you. Bye bye. Bye.